Get ready to cheer.
Red, red, go red!
We've got a lineup of Iowans who aren't letting anything stop them.
I have a soft spot for children with disabilities like me.
From Bella's college to Rheya's tiny new home.
I've only been here 3 years.
They're making the most of the days they're given.
That's quite a deal to me.
Iowans creating friendships with people going through similar struggles.
How's your boyfriend?
Can I have fun?
Yeah, it's what I wanted to hear. See, I told you we were going to talk about that.
And they're hitting record
I'm ready. I was born ready.
even when it would be easier to push pause.
Who's your daddy?
This is inspiration in the face of life's challenges. This is Iowa.
KCCI presents a celebration of the people who make our state special. This is Iowa.
At some point in our lives, most of us get a diagnosis from a doctor, a label saying something physically is a little different. So what then? Well, get ready to meet 4 Iowans who are proving a diagnosis is just the beginning of the next chapter. And we're starting in a dorm room where one college student is breaking ground while spreading joy.
Dinosaur? Yeah. Microwave.
College classrooms might be filled with lectures designed to teach, but dorms?
Finding Nemo.
Listen in right at the buzzer, and you'll catch college's other big lesson, community.
You've made some really good friends, haven't you?
Yes. Like these girls.
Bella Van Gorp, that girl winning heads up, has a couple of parents who were worried that when high school ended, she was going to miss all of these lessons.
Oftentimes, kids with disabilities, their lives look very similar, just much, much lonelier.
And for Bella,
Hey Marcus. How are you?
people
Hey Carter.
matter.
Chloe, guess who I saw? River.
If she knows your name, she'll never forget it.
Bella was born with Down syndrome and graduated from Pella High with a hometown full of friends.
God just built her a little different.
But college, that's different.
We didn't want to, minimize the fact that she had challenges or pretend like she didn't have Down syndrome. She does, and she did yesterday and she will tomorrow.
So when her parents introduced Bella to their alma mater's dean of students,
She is a smile a mile wide.
Central College administrators started doing their homework.
There are places in our community that everyone can make a difference.
Even at 5:30 in the morning.
Hey.
An hour too early for most to be happy,
We are Central Dutch.
except Bella and her varsity team.
On the next one, you go up, okay?
Okay.
Because when they practice,
Can we do the red, red, go red?
4 feet, 8 inches of energy is in the front row,
Red, red, go red. White, let's fight.
ready to yell
Let's go Dutch.
before moving on
I love you, honey.
Love you too.
Good to see you.
Me too.
to class.
I have 1231.
The private college in Pella does not have the life skills classes Bella needs,
So do I go ahead and run it?
like cooking, budgeting, and learning bus schedules,
222.
which is why she gets that at Des Moines Area Community College. But at 4 every afternoon,
Yeah, I'm done.
Bella's back on campus for her job
I love stuff like this.
in the department that lines up perfectly with her dream.
Yeah, it was cute. I like that. My dad's major was elementary education. It was something what I want to do, but instead of like the principal part, I want to be like an associate in a daycare.
Spreading more joy.
I figured that it would be really fun for me because I have a soft spot for children with disabilities like me, and I want to teach other people that too.
But the work, the classes,
Back in the cold again.
the living on her own in a campus dorm, none of that would have been possible without them.
So these are my friends, Amber, that's Kiara, my cheer squad, Casey, Emma, and Chloe.
Bella's neighbors, who take turns every night
I grabbed one of my Tide Pods.
helping her learn how to separate colors
Hey Siri, set a timer for 28 minutes.
and cheering her on
Then I'm gonna get salad.
when she makes healthy choices
It's okay if I put barbecue sauce with these, because
Yeah, just a little bit.
just a little, okay.
at dinner.
Is the salad good?
And then just be Bella's friends. And that look right there proves they are.
I mean, it's one of those where, it just kind of chokes us up because they raised their hand and said, we'll help.
As a parent, it's just everything that we could have hoped for, that there are people who are truly invested in her, people who see her as a human being who has gifts and abilities and a love that can be reciprocated, a friendship that can be reciprocated, and it's just a real gift.
Because they know if Bella would have been born 50 years ago,
They would have deemed her incapable of caring for herself and probably us of caring for her, and a real burden, and she would have been in an institution.
instead, she's spreading cheer across campus. And dreaming of doing the same for kids just like her,
It makes me feel really happy inside.
while making her friends blush.
Boys, ever watching this? Yeah, that's why you got a hair flip.
Bella's parents know college will make her a better person.
This is happening. She is going to college.
But they also believe college will be a better place with Bella from Pella.
Bracelet. Yes. That was hard.
Bella's college experience has been so successful, Central's already planning to expand it to about 15 students in the next few years. On another campus, a cyclone on a roll made a friend for life in the hospital.
I think it's cool being like just a part of something so big.
The coach and the kid who battled together. Plus, when he lost his mobility, he gained Southern Iowa stardom.
No, I want to see how this story ends.
But first, we visit the tiny town that got even smaller when Rheya Robbie moved in, when our This Is Iowa special rolls on.
History is something that's important to small towns all across Iowa, and in northern Audubon County, Gray is always looking to tell its story. Gray, Iowa is pretty quiet. You might see the water tower, the old post office, or the school where the bell no longer rings, but not much else, unless you talk to any of its 61 residents.
A lot of history.
You might just find yourself in the middle of class.
Gray was a very prosperous town.
It's hard to imagine, but this one stop sign town was once on the verge of becoming a metropolis.
Right here is George Gray.
Barbershops, pool halls, and saloons all lined Main Street. Until 100 years ago,
He set his building on fire to collect the insurance, and it spread.
a fire burned down nearly the entire town. For a century, only rubble remained, until a woodmaker moved to town just 3 years ago.
Something just clicks or happens sometimes in life.
Charlie Mundy is not the craftsman, but with a flick of a switch, his father's work comes to light.
I thought he'd lost his mind.
Rheya Mundy is the one with the talent. He rebuilt the town in what it would have looked like right before it went up in flames. It started with the train depot and then the granary, the two drivers of the one-time strong local economy. Then the buildings on Main Street, the resemblance uncanny. But Ray's growing city was getting too big. It needed to move from his basement to be put on display at the school.
I don't know how many times I'd heard him say, I got this building done, the grain building or whatever. I think I'm going to quit after this one, and then, it'd be another 5 more buildings, and he's still going,
Charlie couldn't believe all the work his dad put into this pandemic project.
He does everything with wood glue, no super glue or no hot melt.
Every sign in its perfect place to tell the story of Gray's past.
In 1882, there was 4 saloons in this town. It was a hub.
Charlie saw the delight it brought his father to bring the town's history alive.
He'd get that one done, he'd start another building.
But as the city took shape, they realized it couldn't be finished. As quickly as a booming city can crumble to ash, they learned a man's health can too.
I would like to get at least 3 more buildings done, and maybe 7 was my goal before this. I got sick.
Lung cancer. The diagnosis came in November, and by New Year's, Ray's tools had gone silent, the retired construction worker unable to walk up to the school to see his masterpiece.
It's pretty crazy.
6 days after he told us that, Ray died.
I didn't think of anything like that. He's asked me to finish up And, sorry. The detail in these things.
It's really something special, isn't it?
Yeah.
The handles on the doors, the pulleys inside the train, even a little bird sitting atop the power lines. Ray had thought of everything.
Every time I come here, I find some detail. And, I don't think that can be duplicated.
Just a week before he died, Ray Mundy told us his life's work would become his legacy.
I'm not saying it's the best work by any means, and I would never say that. But I think it brought some history out of this little town.
A town now down to 60 residents is still quiet. But in just 3 years of living there, Ray Mundy proved that if you look hard enough, you can find color in anything, even in gray.
What a great privilege for me.
You can find Ray's model on display in its permanent home in the old school building. You just have to call first and set up an appointment.
But right now, we're all headed to practice, where one of the best women's basketball teams in the country is drawing inspiration from a teenager who's been one of the gals since kindergarten.
Sometimes you get a second chance at life and a second family. Here's a story of triumph that starts in Ames with basketball.
He does a great job of making us aware of what we need to do to be better.
Well, I was born in Davenport, Iowa, but my home is Ames.
Push us to be better people on and off the court.
We've been here 27 years, and we're very invested in the community.
Coach's pregame speeches really inspire us all to go out there and give it our all during the game.
There's a small Midwestern college town, and you're very interconnected with people.
Coach Bill Fennelly is an Iowa State staple.
We're a big no excuses, no regrets. That's kind of the way we talk here.
Driven by the love of the game.
This journey for them goes very quickly. Every day seems to go slow, but the 4 years goes really, really fast.
Pushing teams of strong young women for 27 years. A tough head coach who cares a lot.
We try to get our players invested in the community and be involved in the community in every way we can.
And won't miss a day of work.
In that time, did you ever take a day off, or you just
No,
kept coming?
didn't miss one day of work.
Not even for cancer.
I was really lucky. We have the Bliss Cancer Center here in Ames. So I did my radiation every morning and got to work.
Throat cancer.
It was odd, couldn't talk for 2 weeks, and my wife didn't let me ring the bell. She's like, don't even think about that thing.
And in that time of recovery, there was one person.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good to see you again. How's work?
Who kept him going.
She sent me a note and just said, Coach, you'll be fine. You just got to be tough. And I'm thinking, okay, this little kid is like, what she's been through, and now she's telling me, you'll be good.
5-year-old Elise Lambert.
You have the opportunity to showcase yourself. Hello, Elise. Hey, right in the middle of maybe the greatest speech ever. From 5 to now a beautiful young lady and driving. It's like, I don't have daughters. How's your boyfriend?
I don't have one.
That's what I wanted to hear. See, I told you we were going to talk about that. The journey to watch her grow has made me very anxious when I heard she was driving and had a job, and we got to talk about the boyfriend thing.
Elise Lambert, the now 16-year-old, was diagnosed with cancer at the age of 4.
I remember a lot of friends that I met there and activities we did. I didn't really remember the bad stuff that much, and I guess the 6 to 18 months I didn't know what that meant.
Doctors told her mother that Elise would live 6 to 18 months.
She sat down and she put her hand on my knee, and I'll never forget this moment, and she said, please don't cry. I hope and I pray that this is not as bad as you're being told.
And it wasn't. A corrected diagnosis of Elise's tumor and a summer at St. Jude's Treatment Center in Memphis, Tennessee brought hope.
It had actually shrunk 25%. So she didn't have the dizzy symptoms. So she really had no symptoms from the cancer at that point.
Months later, Elise and Iowa State became family.
Our struggles are not what normal some people have to go through, and certainly Elise has had to go through a lot of them, and she's come out the other side of it, and hopefully it'll be a long relationship with her, and her family.
And in between the miracles,
I think it's cool being like just a part of something so big.
Are so many memories with her ISU family.
I think we have a lot of memories of traveling with the team, of being here, of Christmas parties at Coach Fennelly's house. And I think it's something that she'll have her whole life. Like Coach Fennelly and his family, this program, it's a big family.
March will mark 12 years since diagnosis, and although the cancer is terminal, Elise has gratitude for every day of her life and memories with 2 families.
I think just life is so good, and you just need to, if you can get through this thing that's hard, like you can do anything.
Elise says she wants to attend Iowa State when she graduates high school.
Stand by.
Good evening, Boogie Chillins.
We've got one more stop, and it's on the FM dial. Amputations, Parkinson's, and the pandemic kept piling on.
This is what keeps them going.
But Mike's Mike and his cousin kept rocking.
I didn't really grow up.
Another groovy example of persistence in the face of adversity. This is Iowa. Tune into a radio show or a podcast around Iowa and you're left wondering what the person behind the mic actually looks like. But sometimes the story behind the mic is even deeper than the voice. An hour south of Des Moines, you can find plenty of quiet. Unless you run into the talent behind the mic.
There's talent in here?
Reaching for his headphones.
I'm ready. I was born ready.
Mike Ketchum is a self-described hippie.
I'm glad I was born when I was because of the musical revolution.
His cousin Rich,
Test 1, 2,
is the techie with appreciation for the musical history trapped under his cousin's flowing white hair.
Mike has an ear for music. He knows good music.
So 5 years ago, when Parkinson's disease pushed pause on Mike's career selling trumpets and drums,
I freeze up with my Parkinson's.
he started compiling playlists.
Normally, I work all week on the songs.
And Rich hit record.
Good evening, Boogie Chillins. It's Daddy and Rich in the Doghouse.
Daddy's Doghouse is a weekly radio show that's been on the air in southern Iowa for 5 years.
From KSOI-FM in Murray, Iowa.
Even though Mike doesn't even live in southern Iowa anymore.
Recorded at the Iowa Veterans Home in Marshalltown, Iowa.
See, that Grateful Dead head at the mic has a catalog of classic CDs and the history behind all of them. So when he was forced to give up that day job, Mike told KSOI's station manager,
I'm going to have my second leg amputated.
And he tried donating his library. Instead, the guy in charge of the community radio station that's featured his own grandma.
I'm Grandma Perry with the National Weather Service forecast for Tuesday.
And the county doctor.
Hi, old Doc Kimball here.
Said this child of the 60s belongs on the dial.
They just love it. It's an outlet for them, and it's good for our listeners to have people who want to share that kind of music.
Because he's an old hippie and he don't know what to do.
The guy with no experience on the radio quickly learned that there are 7 dirty words you're not supposed to say on the air.
I got a couple of emails the next day.
But he also learned there's healing power in his mic.
Who's your daddy? You can choose to be happy or you can choose to be miserable. And I choose to be happy. And you need to do that because as far as we know, we only go around once here.
Parkinson's and a double leg amputation couldn't keep Daddy's Doghouse off the air. But COVID's lockdown almost did.
He needed the show.
So Rich has been producing this show over Zoom every week for 2 years.
It made me sound like I knew what I was doing.
Until today. Because after today's show was recorded in person,
we'll be right back after this.
Mike won't be back.
Oh man, we're just about winding down here on our last show.
After 3,000 songs, Daddy's Doghouse is taking its bow because Parkinson's is taking its toll.
It was just getting harder and harder to put a show together. So I had to say, hey, I don't want this to become a joke.
Which is why, for his final show, wheelchairs from down the hall at the Veterans Home rolled in for one last groove. Daddy is not grieving.
It's just part of the trip, you know. What a long, strange trip it's been indeed.
For 5 years,
You want to just go into it?
he created on-air memories with family,
Every week getting together with my cousin.
while proving a diagnosis isn't the end of the road.
I would encourage anybody with a handicap to keep trying, because if you just sit down, you're done.
It's just another spot on life's dial.
No, I want to see how this story ends. Who's your daddy?
Daddy's Doghouse just ended its run on KSOI-FM, but Mike is still sharing the love of music at the Iowa Veterans Home. In Ames, Elise's battle with cancer continues as her team keeps rolling toward its best season in decades. Since Ray passed away a few weeks ago, his son added a tribute to his tiny town. Ray still working. And Bella keeps proving a diagnosis doesn't have to be a roadblock. It can be an opportunity to spread joy in a different way. I'm Eric Hansen. This is Iowa.